Chapter 1. The journey begins. Welcome to Chapter 1 of CBT Thrive. In this chapter, we begin our journey into a transformative world of congestive behavior therapy and its impact on inner city youth. Let's explore the first steps towards understanding and change. This is where the journey begins.
Hey there. Imagine your mind is like a super cool garden. Yeah, that's right. A place where your thoughts and feelings are like seeds that can grow into awesome or not so awesome plants. Just like a garden, your mind needs care. If you're not paying attention, it can get a bit wild. Ever felt overwhelmed by too many thoughts or bummed out for no reason? That's like letting weeds take over your garden. Not cool, right? So here's where cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, comes in. It's like the ultimate gardening tool for your mind. It helps you figure out which thoughts are helpful and which ones aren't. Imagine if we all learned CBT in school, like math or science. We'd be pros at handling stress, understanding our emotions, and wouldn't freak out when things get tough. It's like having superpowers for your brain. We all have those epic moments, like nailing something after trying a zillion times. Remember the last time you felt super proud? That's your garden flourishing. But then, life can throw curveballs. Maybe you've heard about someone young facing something really tough, or even tragic. That's a reminder of how life is unpredictable, and why taking care of our mind garden is super important. Let's face it, we're all glued to our phones and screens, right? But sometimes the stuff we see online is like junk food for our minds. It's more important than ever to keep our mental garden healthy and not let the bad vibes take over. Ever wished you could rewind time, especially after something bad happens? While we can't do that yet, we can use CBT to help us see things differently, stay positive, and be ready for life's roller coaster. Maybe you've heard a story about someone who went through something really tough. Their story isn't just a memory, it's a wake-up call about how crucial our mental health is. It's about early help, understanding our minds, and how awesome tools like CBT can make a big difference. As we all try to make sense of this crazy world, let's remember, taking care of our mental garden isn't just a solo mission. It's about all of us, friends, family, schools, working together. Every kind word, every supportive act, it all helps. We're in this together, growing gardens full of hope, strength, and positive vibes. Imagine your mind as an epic adventure game set in Chicago Heights. You're the hero, and every day brings new challenges and victories. It's a place where being short on cash isn't just about money. It's a mental marathon. Your mind is a vast world, filled with mountains of confidence and valleys of doubt. My guides in this adventure were my grandma, Mary Moses, and Pastor Robert Moses. Picture them as wise NPCs, non-playable characters, who drop knowledge and power-ups. They taught me life's cheat codes through stories and parables, kind of like the old-school version of cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. As I leveled up, the game got tougher. School was supposed to be a tutorial level, but it felt more like a boss fight every day. Teachers were allies doing their best in this chaos. And then, enter the digital realm, a place full of side quests and distractions, making it hard to stay focused on the main mission. I had a strong start, thanks to my family's support and church teachings. Think of them as the best starter pack, but not all players are that lucky. I remember a day that shook our neighborhood. A young life lost, a quest unfinished. It was a brutal reminder of why it's crucial to keep our mental health bar full from the beginning. We had just celebrated a win, a volleyball match, like scoring a goal in the final seconds of a game. But joy turned to sorrow overnight. The ones who caused the tragedy were just kids, players who got lost along the way because the game system failed them. Imagine if these kids had the right guidance from the start. What if their mental landscapes were carefully tended, keeping the bad vibes at bay? Every decision we make, every challenge we face in our youth, sets the stage for the next levels. My life in Chicago Heights was filled with stories, some tough, others inspiring. My grandma was like the guiding light, showing the path through her faith. Her wisdom was my intro to the power of words, and unknowingly, to CBT. Life's a complex game, and we all play it with a different strategy based on our backstory. CBT is like learning to play the game in a whole new way, changing your tactics to turn challenges into opportunities. As the game progressed, the digital landscape got more intense. Social media became a PvP, player versus player zone, where likes and comments were the scores. But CBT strategies are like power-ups, helping you navigate through this without losing your cool. That tragedy near my home was a wake-up call for all of us. Our young players need guidance and support to understand this complex world. CBT is like a quest giver, offering tools to beat the game. Our minds are like uncharted territories, ready to be explored and cultivated. By understanding our mental landscapes and equipping our young adventurers with CBT tools, we're setting them up for a journey of happiness and success. The path might be filled with boss fights and puzzles, but with the right strategy, every player can triumph.
Okay, what's up? Let's do it. We gonna head to chapter 2. That's right, the urban mindset. Chapter 2 of CBT Thrive delves into the unique challenges and perspectives of the inner city life. We'll explore how the urban mindset shapes the experiences of the youth and how CBT can offer new pathways of thinking and acting. That's right, the urban mindset.
Life's like a crazy mixtape, right? It's got its dope tracks and some serious downers. In our hood, among the cool vibes and tough breaks, there's always some weeds trying to choke out the good stuff. Our story's about one of these weeds, a guy named Nigel, who's got a lot more going on than meets the eye. Chicago Heights, it's not your typical suburban dream. Once a booming spot, now it's more like the backdrop of a gritty music video. Nigel, our main dude, is riding the roller coaster of teenage life here. He's African American, living in a place where every day's a hustle. Nigel's seen it all: gangs, poverty, the temptation of easy money. But deep down, he's just a guy looking for his place in the world. Picture this: Nigel, the MVP of his high school football team. He's fast, he's got moves, and he's the guy everyone cheers for. But life throws a curveball, a robbery charge, and bam, he goes from high school hero to zero. In this cloud of drama, there's Mrs. Davis. She's not your average teacher. She's cool, gets it, and knows something about cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. She sees Nigel as more than just another headline. To her, he's a diamond in the rough. Their big moment? A clash in class with Mr. Ameri. Words fly, desks get flipped, total chaos. But Mrs. Davis sees the real deal, a dude crying out for help. Mrs. Davis hooks Nigel up with CBT. It's all about turning that negative noise in your head into something positive. Your past doesn't define you, she tells him. She's all about those positive vibes, pushing him to write it out, to face his demons on paper. Then there's Nana, Nigel's grandma. She's like that wise old character in every epic story. Every night she's spinning tales from the Bible, showing Nigel there's more to life, talking redemption and hope. One night, Nigel's walk home is a reality slap. The park, usually full of life, is dead silent. A memorial stands there for a kid caught in a drive-by. It hits Nigel hard. Life's fragile, unpredictable. Mrs. Davis, spotting the change in Nigel, steps up. She's not just about the academics. She's about real talk, showing him how to deal with the rough patches, to turn grief into something good. Fast forward, and Nigel's a changed man. He's gone from angry young dude to someone with dreams and drive. He's not just surviving. He's looking to make a difference. Nigel's story isn't unique. It's happening all around us. Teens facing tough times, feeling lost. But with the right help, like CBT, and people who care, they can find their way. Big props to Dr. Aaron Beck, the brain behind CBT. He's the reason folks like Nigel can flip the script on their lives. Every hood has its weeds, but with a little love and the right moves, they can turn into something beautiful. Nigel's journey shows us that. It's all about understanding, support, and believing in change. So as we drop the mic on this chapter, remember, everyone's got the potential to shine. It's all about giving them the space to grow.
Chapter 3, Building Resilience. In this chapter, we focus on building resilience. Here, we'll learn all about the tools and techniques of CBT that powers young individuals, that overcome obstacles, and develops a strong sense of self. That's right, building resilience.
The morning sun bathed the community garden in a warm glow, transforming it into a vibrant oasis in the heart of the city. This was where the Gardeners of the Mind, a diverse group dedicated to exploring cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, met to sow seeds of change. Among them were not just adults but teenagers too, each bringing their own story of resilience and hope. They gathered around, ready to tend to the garden and their minds. Jasmine, a 17-year-old, watched the older members with keen interest. She was new here, drawn by the promise of understanding her own struggles through CBT. The group's leader, Ms. Harper, a compassionate therapist, welcomed everyone. She often said, "Just like these plants need sunlight and care, our minds need positive thoughts and self-compassion." As they dug into the soil, Ms. Harper drew parallels between nurturing plants and nurturing minds. "We need to prune negative thoughts, just like we prune these plants," she explained. Jasmine paired up with Carlos, a 16-year-old who had experienced the juvenile justice system firsthand. They shared stories as they worked, talking about the challenges they faced as youth of color. Carlos spoke about the stark reality of his time in a juvenile detention center. "For every 100,000 of us, too many end up behind bars," he said, a hint of sadness in his voice. Jasmine listened, her hands deep in the earth. She thought about how the garden, full of life and growth, was so different from the cold, harsh environment Carlos described. Ms. Harper joined their conversation, emphasizing the importance of environments in shaping minds and lives. "Places like detention centers stifle growth, just like a garden without light," she noted. Their work in the garden became a metaphor for their personal growth. Each seed planted represented a positive affirmation, a step towards a healthier mindset. The conversation shifted to St. Battle's Clinic, a place many of them knew too well. They recalled the long waits and the unwelcoming atmosphere, so different from the nurturing environment they were creating here. Jasmine shared her experience at the clinic. "It felt like nobody there really saw me, you know?" Her voice trailed off, lost in the memory of feeling invisible. Carlos nodded, understanding her sentiment. "But here in this garden it's different. We're heard and we're seen," he said, a small smile forming. As they planted, Ms. Harper encouraged them to share positive affirmations. "I am strong," Jasmine said softly. "I am capable," added Carlos. They discussed the discrepancies in mental health care access, how in some areas help was readily available, while in others it was a distant dream. "It's not just about planting seeds in this garden," Ms. Harper stated. "It's about planting seeds of change in our community." Jasmine felt a surge of empowerment. Here, she wasn't just a teenager. She was a gardener of change, nurturing positivity in a world that often seemed bleak. They talked about reaching out to their communities, sharing what they learned about CBT and mental health. "We can be the change," Jasmine said, her voice firm with resolve. The stories from St. Battle's Clinic and the juvenile centers weren't just tales of despair anymore. They were turning into narratives of hope and calls for change. As they watered the plants, they talked about how their work in the garden was a symbol of their growth and their fight against the systemic challenges they faced. The garden had become more than just a space for them. It was a symbol of their journey, from being trapped in a cycle of negativity to emerging as advocates for mental health and justice. The group decided to take their stories and data to local authorities. They wanted to show the stark differences in how youth of color were treated in the system. They met each day with renewed energy, their discussions in the garden becoming more than personal reflections. They were building a case for change. Jasmine looked around at the thriving garden, feeling a sense of hope. Here, in this small patch of green, they were rewriting their stories, one seed at a time. As the sun set, the gardeners of the mind packed up, their hearts and minds as full as the garden they tended to. They left with a shared vision of a world where every mind, every life, had the space to grow and flourish.
Chapter 4. That's right, the power of self-talk. Chapter 4 of CBT Thrive examines the power of self-talk. Discover how inner dialogue influences emotions and behavior, and how CBT helps in creating a more positive, constructive internal narrative. That's right, the power of self-talk.
In the heart of the city, where skyscrapers cast long shadows over the streets, there's a different kind of jungle, one made up of young minds trying to make it against the odds. These neighborhoods, often ignored by the rest of the city, are where being tough isn't just cool, it's necessary to get by. Here, amid challenges like poverty, schoolyard bullying, and mental health battles, the real heroes are the ones who keep pushing forward. And in this urban struggle, cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, isn't just therapy, it's a secret weapon. In these parts of the city, where the only aid often comes from the government and talking about feelings is as rare as a unicorn, CBT shines like a hidden gem. It's more than just sitting and talking about your feelings. It's about learning to kick negative thoughts to the curb and grow a garden of positive vibes in a place that's usually harsh and tough. CBT here is like a superhero's tool, not just helping to cut through the jungle of negative self-talk and danger, but also paving a new path, one that leads to a life full of hope and new possibilities. This chapter takes us on a journey through these mind gardens, getting down into the dirt of their struggles and seeing how CBT can help them blossom. We're diving deep into their stories, understanding the battles they face every day, and celebrating their resilience. CBT is our guide here, showing us that even in the toughest places, there's always a chance for something good to grow. Under the city's towering buildings, in neighborhoods where the air is thick with more than just pollution, life can feel like a constant battle. You've got sirens blaring, the hidden dangers of substance abuse, and violence that hangs around like a bad smell. For kids growing up here, life is like trying to stand tall in a never-ending storm. Their roots are deep in rocky soil, where making it through each day can feel like navigating a maze filled with dead ends and traps. But even here, in the toughest parts of the city, there's a heartbeat of hope that refuses to give up. This is where CBT comes in, armed with tools to turn the tide, not just trimming the overgrown weeds of trauma and hardship, but planting new seeds of thought and action that can weather any storm. As we dig deeper into this chapter, we see how CBT can become part of the fabric of these communities. It sneaks into schools and community centers, becoming a guiding light and a helping hand. It's like a mirror, showing kids how to understand their emotions, and a map, helping them navigate through life's complicated maze. With the help of awesome therapists and community workers who really get it, CBT becomes a way to rewrite their stories. It teaches these kids to spot the bad thoughts that drag them down and grow a new mindset of self-worth and strength. Together, we're going on a journey through this transformation, watching how one life at a time, the face of these tough neighborhoods can change. We're not just erasing the problems, we're learning to face and overcome them in a new way. In the midst of all this, we meet Marcus, a big guy in the schoolyard who's got a rep as a bully. He's the storm everyone's trying to avoid. But behind his tough exterior is a whirlpool of depression and anxiety, hidden from the world. One morning, the schoolyard is buzzing and Marcus decides to pick on Alex, a quiet kid who always has his nose in a book. "Hey nerd," Marcus shouts. "What's with the book, dreaming of fairy tales?" Alex, a bit shaky but holding his ground, answers, "Books are my escape. They take me to places where I feel safe." Marcus sneers, "Safe? You need to toughen up, not hide in stories." Their teacher, Ms. Thompson, overhears this. She's got a sharp eye and a kind heart. She walks over and asks Marcus, "Are you fighting your own dragons, Marcus?" Caught off guard, Marcus stutters, "I don't get what you mean." Ms. Thompson nods. "We all have battles inside us. You're not fighting alone. Let's talk." This is the start of a big change for Marcus. In CBT sessions with Ms. Thompson, he starts to untangle his feelings, learning to express himself in healthier ways. Slowly, the school bully begins to change, using his strength to help, rather than hurt. At the same time, Alex starts to find his own voice. He learns to stand up for himself, drawing strength from his resilience and the lessons he's learning. Their stories are just two sides of the same coin, showing how understanding and addressing pain can lead to growth, not just for them, but for their entire community. It's a story of hope, proving that even in the toughest places, change is always possible. As we keep exploring, we dive into the school's world, a mini version of the neighborhood. There's Sarah, super smart but socially awkward, often picked on for being a bookworm. One day during a group project, she gets teased, "Why do you always have to be so perfect, Sarah? You make us look bad." Heartbroken, Sarah retreats, but Mr. Johnson, the school counselor, sees what's happening. He's known for his empathy and understanding. He approaches Sarah. "I've noticed you've been quiet. What's up?" Slowly, Sarah talks about feeling left out and the pressure of being the smart one. Mr. Johnson listens, then gently introduces her to CBT. They work on ways to handle social anxiety and to see her intelligence as a strength, not a barrier. Through their sessions, Sarah starts to connect more with her classmates, and the whole vibe in the class begins to change. It becomes a place where everyone's strengths are celebrated and differences are respected. This change in Sarah and her class is a big deal. It shows how CBT can reshape not just how we see ourselves, but how we see each other, building a community where everyone feels they belong.
Chapter 5. In this chapter, we're standing on business. Navigating emotions. Welcome to Chapter 5, where we are navigating the complex world of emotions. This chapter provides insight into understanding and managing feelings effectively through CBT strategies. Alright? Navigating emotions, baby.
In a bustling high school, where every corner echoes with the voices of youth, a new chapter unfolds in the lives of two extraordinary students, Emma and Lucas, as they discover the world of cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. Emma, a 16-year-old with a passion for writing, meets Lucas, a 17-year-old chess enthusiast in the school library. Both grapple with their inner demons. Emma battles depression, while Lucas struggles with anxiety. Emma: "Hey Lucas, what's up? You always seem so deep in thought." Lucas: "Just my mind racing ahead of me, Emma, it never stops." Their teacher, Ms. Harper, spots them talking and sees an opportunity to introduce them to CBT, a tool she believes could transform their lives. Ms. Harper: "Have you guys ever heard of CBT? It's like a strategy for your thoughts, helps you outplay those negative patterns." In class, Ms. Harper turns CBT into a captivating game. She sets up a board resembling a journey through a mind labyrinth and gives Emma and Lucas avatars to navigate the path. Ms. Harper: "Each step on this board is about understanding and changing how we think and react. It's like decoding your own mind." As they play, Emma and Lucas begin to share their feelings more openly, viewing them as challenges in their game to overcome. Emma: "Sometimes I feel like I'm a character in a tragic novel." Lucas: "And I'm stuck in a chess game, always in check." Ms. Harper: "Let's change the genre of that novel and find a winning move in your game." Emma and Lucas take the CBT game home. Their families gather around, intrigued. The evening turns into a shared experience of understanding and bonding. Emma's mom: "This isn't just for Emma, it's a chapter we all share in her life." Lucas's dad: "We're part of this game too, each playing our role to support Lucas." Back at school, Emma and Lucas become CBT champions, starting a club for students to explore their mental landscapes. The club quickly gains popularity, turning the school into a hub of empathy and self-discovery. Emma: "Look, Lucas, we're not just rewriting our stories. We're inspiring a whole school." Lucas: "We're more than just players in a game, we're guides for each other." Their success leads them to organize a school-wide CBT workshop. The gym is transformed into a carnival of mind games and interactive sessions. Lucas: "Let's make this a day to remember, fun, engaging, and real." Emma: "And let's share our stories. It's about more than games, it's about connection." The event is a hit, with students of all grades participating, sharing their thoughts, and learning coping strategies. The atmosphere is electric with positive energy and heartfelt conversations. A local psychologist, Dr. Jensen, attends the workshop. Impressed, she offers to run a special session for parents and teachers. Dr. Jensen: "What you've started is extraordinary. You're not just practicing CBT, you're living it and spreading its power." During this session, Adults and children learn together, bridging the gap between their worlds. As weeks go by, the impact of the CBT Club is clear. Students, including Emma and Lucas, find new confidence and expression. Emma: I feel like I've stepped into a new chapter of my life. Lighter, brighter. Lucas: and I've solved part of my puzzle. It's a long game, but I'm getting there. The school hosts an assembly to celebrate their journey. Emma and Lucas share their experiences, captivating the audience with their honesty and insight. Lucas: CBT isn't just a set of tools, it's understanding ourselves and others. Emma: it's about never losing hope no matter how tough things seem. As the chapter closes, we see Emma, Lucas, and their classmates looking forward to a future where mental well-being is not a solo journey, but a collective adventure. The school embraces this culture, integrating CBT into its ethos.
Chapter 6, From Thought to Action. Chapter 6 bridges the gap from thought to action. Learn how CBT transforms thought patterns into positive actions, create meaningful change in the lives of inner city youth. That's right, baby. From thought to action.
The sun cast a golden hue over the high school courtyard filled with graduates. It was a day of both endings and beginnings, graduation day. James, standing at the podium, looked out at his classmates, football teammates, and all the faces that symbolized their shared journey. Friends, mentors, and fellow graduates, James started, his voice betraying a mix of excitement and nerves. Today, we close our high school chapter and step into a new adventure. We faced trials on the field, conquered exams, and built friendships that will outlast these school walls. The audience was captivated, each person reflecting on their own high school memories. James spoke of the future, urging his peers to embrace it with courage and integrity. As the ceremony ended, James was overwhelmed with a mix of pride and uncertainty. The familiar streets of his neighborhood, once a playground, now whispered of harder choices and unexplored paths. Ronnie, his childhood friend, had become a symbol of the life James had consciously avoided. Their paths, once parallel, had diverged. Ronnie was lured by the quick thrills of gang life, while James had focused on his future. Walking home one evening, James saw Ronnie leaning against a flashy car. "James, come here, man." Ronnie beckoned with a mix of charm and mischief. Approaching, James felt a rush of conflicting emotions. Ronnie offered him some cash, flaunting his gangster lifestyle. James hesitated, but accepted the money, feeling the allure of this forbidden world. One night, under the dim streetlights, Ronnie and James had a heart-to-heart. "We used to own these streets," Ronnie reminisced with a tinge of regret. "Now, I'm deep in this life, and you're still trying to find your way out." James felt the gravity of Ronnie's words. He was at a crossroads, torn between the safety of his past and the dangerous appeal of gang life. In a defining moment, Ronnie offered James a blunt. The pressure of their bond and the yearning to fit in led James to accept it, betraying his own values. As James inhaled, he was overwhelmed with guilt and confusion. This single act felt like a betrayal to everything he stood for. This moment marked a significant shift in James's life, a reminder of the impact of our choices. Sitting with Ronnie, now a gang member, they reminisced about simpler times. "Remember dreaming of a better life?" Ronnie said. "Now we're stuck in the life we wanted to escape." James nodded, his thoughts heavy. Their conversation turned to the gang, a brotherhood forged on the streets. James felt a sense of belonging, yet he knew this wasn't the life he wanted. Engulfed in the gang culture, James's days blurred into a cycle of substance abuse and misplaced loyalty. Then, unexpectedly, James ran into Marcus, a former troublemaker who had turned his life around. "James, it's been a while," Marcus greeted him, his eyes clear and focused. Marcus attributed his transformation to cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. CBT's like a mental reset, man. It helps you catch and change those destructive thoughts. James listened, intrigued by the idea of reshaping his thoughts and life. Marcus's journey of change sparked a glimmer of hope in James. The conversation with Marcus was a turning point for James. He realized he had the power to change his path. James's journey of transformation was gradual and challenging. He started applying CBT techniques to combat the negativity that had long influenced his life. Each day, James faced his reality with new tools, slowly distancing himself from the gang and its influence. He focused on recognizing and challenging his negative thoughts, replacing them with positive affirmations and goals. James's commitment to change began to bear fruit. He noticed shifts in his attitude and decisions, moving away from the destructive patterns of his past. He reconnected with old friends who had chosen different paths, finding support and understanding in their shared experiences. James also sought help from a counselor, further exploring the principles of CBT and how they could apply to his life. Through therapy, James unpacked years of built-up resentment and confusion, understanding how they had driven him towards the gang. He started to rebuild his relationships, particularly with his family, who had watched his descent with concern and love. James's transformation became a source of inspiration for others in his neighborhood. He shared his journey, speaking candidly about the challenges and his newfound perspective. In a powerful moment, James confronted Ronnie, expressing his desire to change and the pain their choices had caused. Ronnie, taken aback, listened to James's words. It was a conversation that opened the door to reflection and possible change for both of them. James's story, a testament to the power of personal choice and the potential for change, became a beacon of hope for others, facing similar crossroads. As he moved forward, James carried with him the lessons of his past, the tools of CBT, and a newfound resolve to shape a future defined by his values and aspirations.
All right, Chapter 7, Community Impact. In Chapter 7 of CBT Thrive, we explore the broader impact of CBT on communities, understanding how empowering individuals can lead to a ripple effect, improving the overall well-being of the community. That's right, community impact. Let's go.
In the vibrant hustle of the community center, James found himself at a workshop on cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, geared towards improving communication. The room was alive with a mix of nervous energy and curiosity. James, once reserved, was now leaning in, captivated by the facilitator's engaging approach. Communication is more than just words, it's about connection. The facilitator began, commanding the room's attention. Today, we're diving into how CBT can help us express ourselves and really hear others. The first task was role-playing. Participants paired off, practicing the art of active listening and empathetic responses. James, teamed up with an older guy named Mike, initially found it awkward. But as they shared stories, James discovered the power of truly listening. Next, they tackled emotional articulation. The group was encouraged to describe feelings precisely, moving beyond vague terms. James found this tough but eye-opening, realizing the layers in his own emotions. The facilitator introduced I statements for expressing emotions without blaming others. "It's about taking ownership of your feelings," she explained. James and the others practiced, slowly getting the hang of assertive yet respectful communication. As they sat in a circle for a group session, the facilitator, with her soothing voice, fostered an atmosphere of openness. When James's turn came, he took a deep breath, scanning the room before starting, "I've always kept my problems to myself, but here I feel like I can open up." He spoke about a tough period when his family struggled financially, and he felt pressured to be strong. "I'd just lie in my room wondering if anyone got what I was going through." The group listened, their faces showing empathy. James went on, "I felt trapped in my head, always beating myself up, stuck in this dark place." Encouraged by the facilitator, James shared how CBT helped him see his negative thoughts for what they were. Just thoughts. "I began to realize I have value, that my feelings count," he concluded, feeling a shared sense of relief and connection in the room. The facilitator shifted focus to nonverbal communication, highlighting the importance of body language and facial expressions. James learned how much is said without words. The segment on conflict resolution was particularly relevant for James. Through role-play, the group practiced handling disagreements with composure. As the workshop progressed, James felt an emerging sense of community. Sharing with strangers was challenging but unexpectedly healing. Focusing on empathy, The facilitator showed how understanding different perspectives can diffuse conflicts. James and his peers practiced seeing situations from others' viewpoints. In a moving exercise, members shared personal struggles. James listened, feeling a deep bond as others opened up about their challenges. They also explored assertive communication. James learned to express his needs without being aggressive or passive, a crucial skill for any young adult. In a heartfelt moment, James spoke openly about his past to the group. Revealing his journey felt liberating, like shedding a weight. Wrapping up, the facilitator emphasized the ongoing nature of mastering communication. "Keep at it," she encouraged them. "It's a skill for life." Leaving the center, James felt a new sense of empowerment. The skills he acquired weren't just theoretical. They were practical tools for better self-understanding and relating to others. Back home, James reflected on the day's lessons. The seemingly simple activities had led to profound realizations about the importance of communication in relationships. In the following days, James noticed how his conversations evolved. They became more engaging and meaningful, a testament to his newfound skills. This journey wasn't just about speaking better. It was about forging deeper connections. James was thankful for how CBT had unexpectedly enriched his communication skills. As the chapter closed, one thing was clear. Effective communication transcended mere words. It was about building bridges between hearts and minds, paving the way for mutual understanding and respect.
Chapter 8, The Future of Hope. Chapter 8 is the chapter that looks towards the future. We'll reflect on the journey of CBT and envision a brighter future where inner city youth not only survive, but thrive. That's right. The future of hope, baby.
The early morning light filtered through the curtains as Marcus, a young African-American man, gently closed the door to his bedroom. He glanced back at his wife, April, and their baby, both asleep. The small apartment felt even more cramped these days, with every creak of the floorboards echoing through the tight space. April, a Caucasian American woman, had been battling postpartum depression. The vibrant woman he'd fallen in love with in high school seemed distant now, her eyes often clouded with anxiety and exhaustion. Marcus had his struggles too, grappling with mental health issues that had only intensified with the pressures of young parenthood. Marcus had found some solace in cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. It had become a refuge, a way to understand the storms in his mind. But he'd kept this journey to himself, not realizing that April too might find comfort in CBT. Their relationship, which began as high school sweethearts, was now being tested by the harsh realities of adulthood and parenthood. The cultural differences that once brought them together now added another layer to their challenges. One quiet evening, with their baby finally asleep, Marcus and April sat in their living room. The air was heavy with unspoken words and pent-up emotions. April, her face showing her fatigue and resolve, finally broke the silence. "Marcus, we need to talk. I'm struggling here and I feel like I'm doing it alone," she said, her voice shaking. Marcus turned to her, his face a mixture of concern and understanding. "I know it's been tough, April. I've been trying something CBT, and it's been really helping me," he admitted. April's face tightened. "So you're getting help and I'm just supposed to cope on my own?" she asked, her voice tinged with frustration. "No, that's not it at all. I should have shared it with you sooner. CBT could help us both," Marcus replied earnestly. April's expression softened as she listened to Marcus describe CBT. He spoke about how it helped him manage his thoughts and feelings, and how it might help her with her postpartum depression and anxiety. As they talked, the room seemed to grow more comfortable, the walls less confining. April began to see a glimmer of hope, a possibility of regaining control over her thoughts and emotions. Their conversation continued into the night. They discussed how CBT techniques could not only benefit them individually, but also strengthen their relationship and their parenting. As dawn broke, Marcus and April reached a new level of understanding. Marcus, seeing the change in April's demeanor, felt hopeful. April, for her part, allowed herself to feel a cautious optimism. They agreed to explore CBT together. recognizing it as a potential tool to navigate the complexities of their lives. In the days that followed, Marcus and April started practicing CBT strategies. They learned to communicate more effectively, sharing their thoughts and feelings without judgment or blame. They also began to understand each other's cultural backgrounds more deeply, using CBT to bridge any gaps and misunderstandings. April started to attend CBT sessions herself, finding them a valuable space to process her feelings and learn coping strategies. Together, they learned to reframe negative thoughts, focusing on the positive aspects of their lives and relationship. As they applied CBT principles, they noticed a gradual improvement in their mental health and their connection as a couple. Their newfound communication skills also helped them co-parent more effectively, providing a stable and loving environment for their child. Marcus and April's journey wasn't easy, but with each passing day, they grew stronger, both as individuals and as a couple. They realized that seeking help wasn't a sign of weakness, but of strength and commitment to themselves and their family. As the chapter closed, they looked to the future with renewed hope. They knew that challenges would come, but with CBT and each other, they were better equipped to face them.
Oh yeah. Chapter 9. Navigating challenges, strategies for overcoming adversity. Chapter 9 of CBT Thrive explores effective strategies for overcoming adversity. Learn how to navigate life's challenges using congestive behavior therapy techniques. Discover tools for resilience and growth in the face of obstacles. That's right. Let's navigate those challenges, baby.
In a close-knit inner-city community, where church steeples mingled with the skyline and hymns echoed through the streets, the interplay of mental health and spirituality was a common thread. Families like Sarah's and Michael's, steeped in faith, viewed it as a shield against life's challenges. Yet as their children entered the turbulent teenage years, it became clear that faith alone might not fully address the complexities of mental health. Sarah, a devout church member, had always believed in the power of prayer to heal, but she couldn't help noticing changes in her son, Jacob, as he transitioned into his teens. His cheerful personality was replaced by quietness and withdrawal. In their home, discussions about mental health or emotional struggles were rare, often dismissed as issues that faith should handle. Michael, the local pastor and a forward thinker, embraced cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, alongside his deep faith. He recognized the need to support the mental and emotional well-being of his congregation, particularly the youth, who often felt torn between their religious upbringing and modern societal pressures. He organized CBT workshops at the community center, targeting young people and their families. Michael aimed to show that faith and mental health care, like CBT, could coexist and complement each other. The workshops attracted a mix of teenagers and parents, many curious yet skeptical. Michael addressed the misconception that seeking mental health support was a sign of weak faith. CBT doesn't replace faith, it enhances it, Michael explained. Our spiritual health is crucial, but so is our mental health. They're interconnected. He shared stories of youths who struggled silently, their issues misinterpreted as spiritual shortcomings. CBT had helped them express their emotions, challenge negative thoughts, and find coping mechanisms while maintaining their faith. Topics covered in the workshops included dealing with peer pressure, managing school-related stress, and understanding puberty's physical and emotional impacts. The interactive sessions encouraged open dialogue, a stark contrast to the usual silence on such topics. Sarah, initially attending out of curiosity, found herself deeply involved. She realized Jacob's struggles weren't a lack of faith, but a natural part of adolescence. She started using CBT techniques at home, fostering open discussions and acknowledging Jacob's feelings. Over time, the community's perspective on mental health began to shift. The balance between spiritual and psychological well-being became more accepted, reducing the stigma in religious households. CBT became a resilience tool, complementing their spiritual beliefs. It taught them that caring for mental health was a step toward holistic well-being. Faith gives us hope. CBT gives us tools for the journey, Michael often said. In this community, where mental health was once a taboo topic, open conversations became more common. The church continued as a spiritual haven, but also acknowledged mental health as essential to overall well-being. The integration of CBT into their lives didn't weaken their faith, it reinforced it, providing a well-rounded approach to life's challenges. Jacob, under his mother's new approach and the influence of the workshops, began to open up. He shared his struggles with his peers, finding comfort in their shared experiences. The youth in the community, once hesitant to discuss mental health, now found a supportive network in each other, spurred by the workshops. Parents, too, underwent a transformation. They learned to listen and communicate more effectively with their children, bridging gaps that had formed over the years. Michael observed these changes with a sense of accomplishment. The workshops had started a much-needed conversation about mental health in the context of their faith. Sarah and other parents became advocates for mental health awareness, using their experiences to educate and support other families. The church started hosting regular mental health awareness events, integrating discussions on spirituality and psychological well-being. In schools, teachers noticed a positive change in students' attitudes. They were more engaged, and their overall well-being seemed improved. Local mental health professionals, recognizing the shift in the community's attitude, began collaborating with the church to provide additional support and resources. As the story of this community's journey spread, it became a beacon of hope for other inner-city areas grappling with similar issues. The narrative closed on a community transformed, where faith and mental health care coexisted, each enriching the other, creating a more resilient and understanding environment for its youth. As we wrap up our journey through CBT Thrive, let's take a moment to reflect on what we've learned. This book isn't just a collection of stories. It's a real talk guide about how cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, can change lives. It's like finding a secret hack to navigate the tough stuff life throws your way. CBT is more than just a bunch of tips and tricks. It's a whole new way of seeing things, a game changer that gives you the power to control your thoughts, feelings, and actions. From the struggles and victories of Marcus and April in their marriage, to Janie showing her students how to find their voices, every story here proves that CBT can light up even the darkest paths. Walking the CBT path isn't a solo mission. It's a team effort, involving therapists, family, friends, and the community. It's about smashing the stigma around talking about mental health and starting real conversations that can lead to healing and growth. CBT Thrive shows us that no matter who you are or where you're from, you've got what it takes to use CBT to level up your life. It's about flipping the script, challenging what you've always believed, and being open to new ways of thinking and doing. The stories in this book are all about the power of bouncing back and the ability to change. They remind us that we might not be able to control everything that happens to us, but we can control how we respond to it. So as we close this book, let's get one thing straight. CBT isn't just therapy, it's a roadmap to thriving. It teaches us to understand our thoughts, face our fears, celebrate our strengths, and most importantly, to live life with guts and hope. CBT Thrive is your invite to start a journey of self-discovery and transformation. It's for anyone who's ever felt stuck or lost and is looking for a fresh start. This book isn't just about making it through, it's about shining bright. And remember, as you turn the last page, you're not just finishing a book, you're stepping into a new chapter of your life where you have the tools, knowledge, and attitude to take on whatever comes your way. With CBT in your toolkit, you're not just surviving, you're thriving.
All right. It looks like we're at the end of our road. I want to thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for supporting CBT Thrive. And listen, let's help our youth thrive, okay? By introducing them to CBT therapy. It is something you can do at home. You do not need a therapist. Just pick up a book. Until next time, I'll see you on the other side.